So before we finish off this section, there's just a little bit of cleanup I want to do. And I have both the back end and the front end running, and I'm looking at the GraphQL component. And I'd like you to pay attention to this, the console. Let me clear that off as I type search things here. So if I type, for example, T, it makes a request. H, it makes another request. Now, that's okay, but honestly, you probably want to limit your search to 3 characters or more, or something like that. So let's take care of that right away. So let's go back to our front-end code, and I'm looking at GraphQL, and I'm looking at the handle change function. So right now, no matter what happens, if we type a single character, we're always calling this.perform search. So let's make that a little bit better. Let's say instead, if value.length, and value is what we're getting from the form component or the form entry on the page. If that's greater than 2, then perform the search. So I'll do that. And I'll say else this.setState movies, and I'll just set that to an empty array. Okay? So let's format everything and see how that looks. So I'll go back here and I'll clear the console again, and we have the full list of movies. And if I type T, H, E, then it gives me the list back. And that may not be exactly what you want, but that gives you some indication as to how you can make this search seem a little more realistic. So if I backspace over everything, it clears it off. And now if I type KNI, it doesn't return anything. So another thing you might want to do is to, because I have to use uppercase K, N-I-G, and there it shows up, is you might want to modify the back end and the front end to ignore case. And the easiest way to do that is to convert the case of what you're searching and the case of what you're searching for to be the same thing. So convert both to lowercase or both to uppercase. And that's pretty straightforward, and I'll leave that as an exercise for you. Then the other thing I want to take care of here is on the home page, we don't need to have this admit 1 on the bottom. So let's just go back to the code for that and find the home component, home.js, and get rid of this part right here. Div class name equals tickets, and this HR. And that's just a little bit of cleanup. So there you go. Now we have a functional backend. At this point, we have 2 means of getting information from our REST API. One using standard JSON and one using GraphQL. And both have their strengths and their weaknesses, and which one you use is entirely up to you, or you can, if you wish, and I usually do, implement both. So let's move on.